coaching. Apologize for my voice today. Got a little bit of a cough, but it's not contagious. I've been to the doctor. So today what I want to talk about is how people make decisions differently. There's 4 quadrants to our brain, as we know, and some people use certain quadrants more than the other. And there's great assessments out there that tell you which you are, and that's something that we do with everyone we coach. So today I want to just talk about those 4 quadrants and why it's important for you to know the 4 and how to adjust your presentations or your sales pitches to those styles. So the 4 quadrants I like to start off with are, the first one is a logical and analytical mind. So these are people like bankers, engineers, IT people, doctors, and lawyers. So being in Huntsville with all these rocket engineers, that's probably mainly what you run into around here, even if they're owning some sort of other business. The second is the controlled, detailed, and organization quadrant. This is people like bookkeepers, administrative assistants, and auditors. And those are both on, when I'm looking at my page, the left side of the brain, which I think is actually turned around to be the right, but I have to check that. So a lot of times people have a little bit of both when they're on that side. So the analytical, logical mind may also bleed into that control organization. When we flip over to the other side, we have the interpersonal and emotional quadrant. So those are teachers, human resources professionals, sales professionals, social workers, and nurses a lot of times. And then the 4th is the creative and conceptual. So that's artists, marketing professionals, entrepreneurs a lot of times fall into this, as well as strategists. And again, those 2 bleed into each other. So a lot of people who have that interpersonal mind also have that conceptual, creative mind a lot of times. So why is it important to know these 4 and who's who? Does anybody know?
Well, because they're going to each react different, and you're going to have to present to them differently because of what's important to them.
Absolutely. What's important to them? So for me, I am a interpersonal, emotional. I'm very, when I take the assessment, very red. Which means I make my decisions based on feelings and people, which is why I went into human resources. So while my husband, a finance professional, is very logical and analytical. So I love to use the example of buying a house. When we look at a house together, I will say, oh my gosh, look at this house. It's a perfect price. Look at the kitchen. It's open. I can just see myself here for 10 years. I love it. And my husband will just say, what's the price per square foot? And if it's not what it's supposed to be, he's done. It doesn't matter how perfect everything is. So that's kind of the differences. So if a realtor were to work with us, they have 2 different completely styles. They know for him, if the price per square foot's not where it's going to be, he's not going to buy. And for me, if I can't picture myself there with kids and my family in 10 years, then I'm going to say no. So this also applies to everybody in your business. So when you're going in to say, meet with a CEO, what do you think most CEOs, well, let's say a finance CEO, financial services company, what do you think they fall into?
You better know the square footage, price per square footage.
What's it gonna
The logical, analytical, but a CEO.
They're also going to be extremely time conscious. So any presentations are going to have to be short and to the point. Short and to the point. And they're also a lot of times conceptual as well. So they still have that 10,000 foot view. So a lot of times what's good to do is maybe give them some material ahead of time. Before I go in and I meet any of my accounting firms, I actually send all my facts and figures to them before the presentation, and my presentation may last 10 minutes because that's what they need. That's all they need. Now, when going in and meeting with an HR representative, what do you think is important with that?
The interpersonal and emotional. Like
Their interpersonal
What does it feel and what does it feel like and how is it going to suit them?
And connecting with them.
Yeah.
Connecting with them. They're going to buy based on your relationship. So you want to talk to them about their family and their kids and all that stuff, and they're going to buy because they like you. They're not going to buy based on the facts and the figures. So those are the ones you need to go in and plan a 30-minute conversation, and probably 15 to 20 minutes is just talking about the weather and football and their families and things like that, because that's how they'll make their decisions. What about going into a marketing? Marketing creative. How do you talk to them?
Through imagination.
Imagination. You tell them what you see their future business being and how you can get them there. They don't need the facts and the figures and the small stuff. They want to know you're on board with the future with them. And finally, what about those controlled, maybe an administrator, the really controlled organization people? How do you sell to them? What kind of things can you give them to make them pull the trigger?
It's going to make their life easier.
Yeah, the leads.
The details, the efficiency.
Yeah.
Another thing that's important with them is how much, say you're giving them the copiers. Well, how much downtime am I going to have during the switch, right? Or how long am I not going to have copying availability? That's going to be important to them. And they also love to-do list and planning schedules. So give them a schedule of here's how we're going to go about it, right? And deliver on that schedule. So the important thing is when you're going into something and you have no idea what quadrant they might be in, or say you're going and doing a pitch to the marketing director, the CEO, the HR director, and all of them, what's important in your presentation is to hit all those points. So with using PowerPoint, a good way to do this is use few words, but have those numbers. Make sure the return on investment is there for those logical, analytical, and control people. But then also use pictures. Use that beginning pitch with, here's who I am, and add some personal stats to get those creatives and those HR professionals on your side. And if you hit all those, you should be comfortable with hitting all pieces of the brain. That's all I got.